Hey everyone, it's Chris here again at Hertastic Reviews. I have been away for a while, I know, but I couldn't help but notice that my boy Nathan at the Nathan Jones channel has been tagging a bunch of people, including myself from the YouTube community, to do his ABC challenge. Now, what this challenge is he wanted people to watch movies starting with each letter all the way through the alphabet. And I can't do that. And I noticed also that my boy Daniel from Cobwebs, who now has a YouTube channel as well, and it's doing great. He did his ABC challenge. And here's my thing. I like how Daniel did it. I mean, I would love to do how Nathan did, where he's watching one each time. But with coming back from my small break after April to get back into YouTubing and doing my podcast and just working in general, I don't know if I'll be able to handle that as well. So I'm here to just do like some favorite movies that I just want to say from each letter, from A to Z. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about these movies? Which ones have you been recommending? What have I been missing from YouTube for the last month that I've been gone in the podcasting or the YouTube world? Because I feel like I'm just starting all over again. And if you like the new haircut, let me know down in the comments down below too. But anyway, let's get into it. So the first letter A, we're going to go with Analyze This, a Harold Ramis comedy starring Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal. I love Billy Crystal. As the older I've gotten, I've loved his stuff. And I love Harold Ramis. So this has Lisa Kudrow, Robert De Niro, Billy Crystal, and Billy Crystal is a shrink, and he ends up getting Robert De Niro, who is a mob boss, as his patient. And he's basically part of the mob now, and just giving him advice. Harold Ramis, comedy gold right here. If you've seen his work as well. Chicago Boy, absolutely love him. But yeah, Analyze This. Next movie, and there was a sequel, Analyze That as well, which was okay. It wasn't that great, but you can get it in this double pack, which I recommend. But let's see, letter B. We got Body Bags from John Carpenter. Now, this is one of my favorite anthology movies. I think it is always missed when we talk about anthology horror movies. I don't know why, but I just love how quick and simple it is. It's like 90 minutes long, 95 minutes long, and it has three really good little shorts with it. You get one with Wes Craven in a gas station. The second one is about a man losing his hair, and then a third one with Mark Hamill as an aging baseball star. So yeah, Body Bags. And I mean, you get John Carpenter in this as well as Tobe Hooper working together on this. The horror masters right there. So Body Bags. Letter C is La Coda dello Scorpion, which is the case of the scorpion's tail in English. This is through Arrow. I love Arrow Video. This is a giallo film from 1971. And it's a really good giallo. It's a really good mystery. You like the characters in this. The ending, I definitely did not see coming. And it was kind of a sad ending, like in a good way, because I love the characters that were in this, and it was time to say goodbye to a few of them. And the score is great. The romance is awesome in this too. And when the violence hits, it hits really well. So yeah, give The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, Sergio Martino film right here. Check that one out. D, Day of the Dead. Okay, this is Romero's best movie. This is the best of his Living Dead trilogy. This movie holds up now more than ever. You watch this with They Live, and you're going to be like, holy crap, Carpenter and Romero were ahead of their times. And if they were. This is a great zombie movie with intense gore. Tom Savini does the special effects. And it just, I don't know, George A. Romero in this is just at his best. I think Dawn of the Dead gets more love for being the best of his movies, and then Night of the Living Dead being the first to pioneer it, even though there's great zombie movies before that as well. But Day of the Dead, I don't think it's enough credit or love, and this has one of the best soundtracks in movies. It has three great characters that you fall in love with, and it has a lot to say about the political landscape then, and including, I would say, even now. So get Day of the Dead and watch this movie because it is amazing. It's my favorite. All right, after C, D is E, and that I'm gonna go with Easy Living. This is a 1937 black and white comedy film with obviously Ray Milland, and it has Jean Arthur and Edward Arnold. This movie is basically about Jean Arthur being a poor girl who's walking down the street one day, and Edward Arnold is this rich banker man, and he throws his wife's coat over the ledge, and it lands in Jean Arthur's lap. And now she's involved in this world of banking and rich. And Ray Milland is Edward Arnold's son, and he doesn't want this rich lifestyle. He wants to go out and make his own living, and it doesn't work out for him, but he runs into Jean Arthur, and they fall in love. I love this movie so much. I bought it as a blind buy, and it's an early Ray Milland picture, and I think he just does such a great job with it. So go ahead and check out Easy Living. That's through Kino. Next is F, perfect movie, Frances Ha. I've talked about this movie so much, and I don't think I'll ever have not anything to say. I always have something to say about this movie. But 2013, Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig starring, has Adam Driver in it as well. And I don't know, again, a movie about a girl in the big city just growing up. And she's a lot older. She's like 26, 27 in this movie. I'm just now 25, so I'm relating to this movie now even more so than ever. I just love this movie to death. Get it on Criterion. Anything through Noah Baumbach is just, I would recommend always. So, Frances Ha. All right, let's go with the letter G. Let's go with Stanley Kramer's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, Sidney Poitier, and I forget the daughter's name. Catherine Houghton. And Stanley Kramer, I was not reading, but I had watched like a small little bonus feature about him, and he was known as kind of the woke filmmaker of his time. So he did like the Defiant ones with Tony Curtis, and Sidney Poitier. He did this. He did In the Heat of the Night. And there was a movie he also had produced, High Noon. He had produced. Didn't direct, but he produced it, and which it does have a lot of his trademarks in there. But here's the thing. Stanley Kramer, I think, at the time he was making these movies were perfect times. I mean, obviously the civil rights movement was a big thing. Interracial relationships was a big thing. And I like to watch a filmmaker who cares about timely issues and also makes great movies along with it. He's kind of like a tamer Spike Lee in a way. And I really applaud that. The movies I've seen that Stanley Kramer has done, I've really enjoyed. But this one's probably my favorite. I think Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, this is like the last movie I think they did together. And I think they really kicked this movie's ass. Like, I think they did really great in it. So yeah, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I really recommend you watch this movie. I think it's pretty important. It has a lot to say. It seems preachy at times, but you have to remember of its time and what time we're living in. So Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I recommend. Now, letter H. There's still people who haven't seen Hellfest. Hellfest slasher movie from 2018, I believe. Love this movie. It is a quick watch. It's fan service for those of slasher movies of old. Also those who love like those intense, thrilling moments of like, more modern horror movies. This is it. This movie gets slept on so much. It's perfect for the Halloween time because Hellfest is just a theme park that you wish existed. I just can't recommend this movie enough, and I would love to see this movie get a franchise, especially with that ending. All right, letter H, let's go. I'm going to go with one of the best movies of the last 10 years, and that is Barry Jenkins' If Beale Street Could Talk. Should have won Best Picture in 2018. Didn't even get a nomination. But stars Regina King. I love this movie so much. It's all about love during the civil rights movement still. And it's just Barry Jenkins just infuses jazz and beautiful romance and hardship of like harsh reality. And this movie tackles it so well. It's just such an amazing movie. If Beale Street Could Talk breaks your heart, but it also like makes you like be happy that you're human and you get to experience like love and things. And Barry Jenkins just kills this movie. I love this movie so much. It's on Hulu, I think, as well as streaming, but you might as well just buy the Blu-ray. It's pretty cheap. If you loved Moonlight and you love Barry Jenkins' film style, If Beale Street Could Talk will not disappoint. I mean, Moonlight won Best Picture, and I think this movie's actually just a little bit better than that, and it didn't even get a nomination. Check this movie out. Next, we're going to go with J. we got to go with Spike Lee's Jungle Fever. Wesley Snipes, Spike Lee's in this, Anthony Quinn and Annabella Sciorra. It also has Brad Dourif, John Turturro, Samuel L. Jackson in an amazing performance, and Tim Robbins. Jungle Fever came out in 1991. This is like one of like his more mainstream movies. However, this is a very... Yeah, it's 132 minutes long. It's a little longer than I'd like it to be, but the soundtrack is very good. The filmmaking style is always great. I mean, whenever you watch a Spike Lee movie, the filmmaking is going to be awesome. It's a early 90s movie, so it's going to be a little dated at points. That's per Spike Lee, but the message is still there, and it's a good, strong message. So yeah, Jungle Fever, it's about infidelity, interracial relationships, overcoming what your community says about like culture and like who you can and can't love. Just like it's really timely about like what people were going through in the early 90s and kind of how we've gotten to this point. So check out Jungle Fever if you get a chance. I will say it's good. It's not one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, but it is worth the watch. Next, we're going to go with the 1979 Best Picture winner, Kramer vs. Kramer. If you loved Marriage Story like I did, Kramer vs. Kramer is a blueprint to it. I hate how people say Marriage Story is just a copy, ripoff of Kramer vs. Kramer. I think that's unfair because, these movies about divorce and about these specific people, there is some truth to it. There is some part of someone's life that's been experienced already that's depicted on film. So there should be some respect to that, right? Noah Baumbach highlighting his break with Jennifer Jason Leigh in Marriage Story. Kramer vs. Kramer, directed by Robert Benton. This is based on a screenplay, I believe. But either way, it won Best Picture. Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep. I just love this movie. It's a harder watch at times, but man, this movie's great. And then K, this is kind of a cheat, but I just want to have an excuse to talk about this director. It's Pierre Melville. And we're going to talk about Le Cercle Rouge for L. Le Cercle Rouge basically means the red circle is the translation. The Red Circle is probably one of his best movies ever. It's a heist movie. There are scenes in this movie where they're robbing a jewelry store. The whole movie is just circled around these characters as Alain Delon in this movie. I'm trying to remember who else possibly was in this, but I know he was for sure. And man, they wear masks, they wear the trench coats, they wear the shades. The heist for the jewelry scene is such an intense and such a calculated scene. You're like, oh my gosh, I think Melville probably robbed a jewelry store after watching this because it's so meticulous. But the Red Circle, I feel like when I first watched it, I was like, ooh, this might be a little slow for me, but it just ramps up more and more, and it's very meditative, which is why I think Pierre Melville needs to be experienced, because his movies can be super flashy and cool, and then it can be something like La Samurai, where it's just like an expose, and you're just highlighting on an individual. Le Cercle Rouge, definitely check it out. Also, it's out of print from Criterion, so get the Studio Canal box set. The next movie for M, My Dinner with Andre. Andre Gregory, Wally Shaw film. It's just about two friends discussing life and experiences and kind of just the follies of, growing up or growing older. My Dinner with Andre is such a good movie. I think it's one of those movies that's going to go like, oh, you're so pretentious because you like this movie. But in my opinion, just because that's the case doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I think as you get older, you're not going to keep in touch with all the people that you knew in your life every day. And there's going to be times probably where you have to meet up with them, and it's going to be awkward because you kind of don't remember this person anymore. And then you get in conversations, you get into like the intellect of them and how they've changed since you last seen them. My Dinner with Andre is kind of that movie. And I just think I haven't seen the other two films that they did together, but this one was given to me by Nathan Jones, and absolutely loved it. So thanks, buddy, for this one. Definitely check this movie out. All right, letter N. We're talking a Shout Select action movie. Sylvester Stallone, Rutger Hauer, Nighthawks. I saw this movie a year ago, I believe, and man, this movie is like... it's not like an amazing movie, but it's such a fun watch. I think Rutger Hauer steals the show from Stallone in this movie. It also has Billy D. Williams as Sylvester Stallone's detective buddy, as Rutger Hauer is a kind of like a Hans Gruber type, but he's terrorizing the whole city. And I love that dynamic that Stallone and Howard has in this movie. And it's a pretty cheap buy for Shout Select. So I would definitely recommend this movie if you like action movies and kind of like that Michael Mann style of action movie. You'll get that with this. All right, letter O. We're going to go with Old Man and the Gun. This movie came out in 2018 as well. I saw this movie in theaters. And it was Robert Redford's last movie, and I love Robert Redford movies for the most part. I've only seen a handful, he's always kind of reminded me of like Hollywood's Golden Boy, and that's probably true. But you watch a few movies with him, and they're great. Let's talk about Old Man and the Gun, though. I think this movie is really solid about an older man, obviously, who robs banks. He's kind of at the end of his life, and he's kind of realizing he wasted a lot of it with just robbing banks, but he still has that charm. He still loves the hunt and the chase of it all. It's just such a well-made movie. I'm trying to see who directed this. David Lowery, who also I believe did Pete's Dragon as well. I might be wrong on that, but it also stars Casey Affleck. It also stars John David Washington as well, and I think they give really great performances and has a good score. And the cinematography is actually a little underrated in this movie. And I wish Robert Redford got nominated for this. But Old Man and the Gun, definitely check it out. P, this is just a pure flex on my end, but we're talking about Prison, Rennie Harlan. It is a 1980s, let's see, specifically 1988 horror movie. It's kind of like a ghost movie of sorts. It stars Viggo Mortensen, which is crazy. And it's a fun movie. It's about Viggo Mortensen getting trapped in this prison because he's been put there along with a bunch of other people who have been incarcerated, and they're starting to get picked off one by one through an electric chair because the warden is awful. And then they realize that the spirit of one of the people that was killed is kind of starting to haunt the prison now, and Viggo Mortensen has to figure out what's going on. It's all right. It's a fun movie, but the big thing is it has a slipcover. It's a Scream Factory movie. I've only seen it once, and this movie's out of print to fuck. So, Prison, definitely at least just check it out. After P comes Q. We're talking about Larry Cohen. I love this director. Hey, he's done this. He's done The Stuff. Excuse me. Q, the Wing Serpent. It's a great monster movie, and it has a lot to say about people and their selfishness and the lack of community we have in the urban jungle in the big cities now, and this is the detachment people have. So Q is this actual big monster that's terrorizing New York, and it's an Aztec god that's been resurrected. And the character in the movie, played by David Carradine, I believe, or Michael Moriarty, excuse me, he knows the location of this monster, and he won't tell the city where it is because he's holding them for ransom, because he wants to be acknowledged, because he's a nobody. He wants to get it acknowledged finally as being a nobody who could save the city. And politics get involved, and they don't want to acknowledge it. Larry Cohen always has a message to say, and I think what it says is like the detachment society has been slowly being, torn apart because of politics, because of wealth, is shown here. So even when there's a present danger, we might not have everyone's best interest in mind. So Q, the Winged Serpent, definitely check that one out. The next movie we're going to recommend on here is Repulsion at letter R. Roman Polanski's Repulsion. Rosemary's Baby, this, and The Tenant is part of the Apartment trilogy that he made. This one came out in 1965. This movie is nuts. It is dark. It is sexual. When I saw this, I was just like, oh my gosh, like Polanski for me hasn't missed. I've seen this. I've seen, I've seen Rosemary's Baby. I've seen also The Pianist. But Roman Polanski's Repulsion, it has a lot to say about like women's fear of men and isolation that we have when we live in apartments. Repulsion really does that well. It's kind of gross when you watch it thinking about who Roman Polanski is, but it still doesn't take away from the filmmaking of this movie and the terror he creates. So I would recommend Repulsion if you really do get a chance. If you love Rosemary's Baby and you don't, it's not as demonic as Rosemary's Baby, but it still is a horror film. I definitely recommend Repulsion. After R is S, and we're going to go with The Song of Bernadette. This is from Eureka, Masters of Cinema. This has Jennifer Jones, who won Best Actress for this movie. It was directed by Henry King. It also has Vincent Price in this movie. Here's the thing. Song of Bernadette, I watched it when I was in Catholic school, is a middle schooler, and I've watched it a few times after that. My grandmother loves this movie. I love it too. It's about Saint Bernadette of Lourdes in France. She is a little girl who gets a vision from the mother, Mary, who shows her this healing springs that still exist today. And basically, if you go there, it heals you. And nobody believed Bernadette. She joins a covenant, and then people realize that she was right. So it is a religious film. I like religious films. I think they're very fascinating and they're interesting. And when they're well made, like The Song of Bernadette, which was also nominated for Best Picture, I'm gonna say, yeah, this is a movie that's worth watching. I think it's really great when it comes to religion and the impact it has on people from time to time. Song of Bernadette, check it out. And just to be clear, this movie also did come out in 1943, excuse me. Next on the list for T is the 1988 film They Live. I just talked about Day of the Living Dead. Now you need to watch They Live. John Carpenter with Rodney Piper and Keith David. This movie is amazing. It's goated. It is a bona fide, almost perfect movie. Holds up today with its message. Rodney Piper is in this dystopian dystopian vision of LA, and he realizes that everything doesn't seem normal, and the police is destroying homeless people's areas where they live, and there's an underground movement, and he's wondering what's going on, and he puts on these shades, and he realizes that an alien invasion has happened. Hence, They Live. And they have secret messages all throughout about consumerism, the corruption of politics, society as a whole. Definitely check out They Live. Love this movie. Next, we're going to go with You, which is Underwater. I saw this movie recently. This came out in 2020, January, so it's a January movie. But man, this movie is an alien copycat, and it has Kristen Stewart in it. I loved this movie. I think this movie is great. It is a movie I'm going to rewatch often. It kind of has the Cthulhu type of thing in this movie, in the survival part of it. I just loved Underwater. If you've seen this movie, let me know, because I absolutely enjoyed it. After You is V, and we're going to talk about Videodrome next. David Cronenberg's film about TV and dark sexuality and horror and violence. 1983 film. Long Live the New Flesh. Videodrome is a cult classic movie I was exposed to, and I'm so glad I did. This movie is crazy. It is just so gross and cool. Videodrome. Definitely check it out. Also through Criterion. It has this really cool case right here. After V is X, and we're going to talk about the Xfiles, specifically Fight the Future. I have it here in this double pack. But Xfiles, I want to believe, came out in 2008. We don't want to talk about that. But Fight the Future, that came out in the 90s, low key, I really liked this movie a lot as a kid. And it's about, aliens, of course, and there's this beast. Mulder thinks he's so close to uncovering the truth. Government agents are all after him as well. I believe Krychek is also in this movie. Fight the Future is one of those X-Files 90s movie where it was like, if you love the show, you're going to love the movie. If you know only a little bit about the X-Files and you watch the movie, I don't think you would appreciate it. All right, let's see. So W. Oh, we missed W. We just went straight to X. But let's go to W. We're talking about Wild Strawberries with from Ingmar Bergman. Wild Strawberries, again, a movie about a man coming to the end of his life, and he's just reevaluating how beautiful life really is and what he got to experience growing up. I loved Wild Strawberries from Ingmar Bergman. I've watched quite a few of his movies since getting this set when it first came out. And hopefully I get a chance to talk about this more, possibly with someone we know. But yeah, Wild Strawberries is my W. Then we had X-Files with Fight the Future. And then XY is Y Tu Mamá También from Alfonso Cuarón. I've talked about this movie very often. One of my favorite coming-of-age movies. Came out in 2001. It's about these two friends played by Gael Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna. instant stars after this movie, and it's about them. They're immature boys who are only just, they're prepubescent. They're just horny. They are just wanting to experience life, and they realize that they can experience more life with this woman. And they kind of who's played by Maribel Verdú. They basically go on a road trip, and they kind of uncover things about themselves along with her, and just like how we live life. It's really, really, really great film. And at the end, I love it because it's basically Cuarón kind of talking about just what happens in life. You have these experiences with people, and they leave your life, and then you just kind of remember them. You move on. Nothing else ever happens. And then finally, with the letter Z, we're going with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Anyway, that was my ABC challenge. Thank you, Nathan, for including me in there. If you liked this video, give me that hit a comment down below. Give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm so glad to be back, and hopefully we can go ahead and kind of steamroll through the rest of this month. If there's any videos you would like for me to do, any top fives, or you want me to do a ranking of some sorts, let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Anyway, if you're not ranking movies, do you not care about cinema? Anyway, we'll see you next time.